Savannah Guthrie. The world once again found itself rallying around Savannah Guthrie when frightening headlines surfaced about turmoil within her family. For many viewers, it felt unthinkable that someone who greets millions each morning with warmth and steadiness could be facing yet another deeply personal storm. But if there is one theme that defines Guthrie's life, it is resilience forged through heartbreak. Long before she became a household name on morning television, her life was divided by a moment she still describes as a stark line in the sand. When she was just 13 years old, her father suffered his first heart attack. It was the first time the family fully understood that his heart was fragile. 3 years later, another heart attack took his life. That loss did not simply wound her, it reshaped her. Speaking on the podcast Now What with Brooke Shields, she described her life as split into before and after. There was childhood innocence, and then there was a heavy awareness that life can change without warning. She has openly said she believes she will carry that grief forever, not in a way that paralyzes her, but in a way that softens her heart. She has reflected that her empathy deepened because of it. Pain, she has suggested, made her more tender, and in a profession that requires daily conversations about tragedy, injustice, and human struggle, that tenderness became one of her defining strengths. Yet grief was only the first chapter. In the late 2000s, Guthrie quietly endured another painful transition, the end of her first marriage to BBC producer Mark Orchard. The two married in 2005, but by 2008 they were living separately. She filed for divorce in 2009 after 4 years of marriage. She has rarely spoken publicly about that period. In her 2024 book, Mostly What God Does, Reflections on Seeking and Finding His Love Everywhere, she described it not as scandalous, but as deeply disappointing. There was no public drama, no tabloid spectacle, just heartbreak and the quiet recognition that something had not worked. That chapter, however, would later become part of what she calls her faith story. Guthrie has never hidden her Christian faith. She has spoken candidly about doubt, sorrow, and joy all existing together. Divorce, grief, uncertainty, none of it shattered her belief. If anything, she says it strengthened it. She came to understand faith not as the absence of pain, but as something that grows through it. In 2014, she found love again when she married communications consultant Michael Feldman. That same year, she experienced a joy she had nearly convinced herself might never happen. Motherhood. After divorcing in her 30s and remarrying later than many women do, she had quietly started to question whether having children was in her future. She admitted she stopped allowing herself to hope too much, not because pregnancy was impossible, but because she feared disappointment more than she desired expectation. Then came her daughter, born in 2014. A long-held dream realized, but the road was not entirely smooth. When she became pregnant again, she suffered a miscarriage. For someone who had already wrestled with doubt about whether motherhood would happen at all, it was another painful blow. She later spoke about how experiences like that make you realize how many things must go exactly right to bring a healthy child into the world. Eventually, she and Feldman decided to try again, this time through IVF. It was not a decision made lightly. Guthrie has said she worried about becoming so focused on chasing a hopeful future that she might forget to cherish her already beautiful present. The IVF process required 2 rounds before they conceived. In 2016, their son was born. She has joked lovingly that he felt like the last egg out, a miracle at the very edge of possibility. Motherhood later in life brought its own challenges. She has admitted that on exhausting afternoons she sometimes wonders whether younger parents feel the same level of fatigue. But she also believes age has given her calmness and perspective, qualities she feels are gifts to her children. Just as her family life found rhythm, her professional world was shaken. In 2017, NBC faced a major scandal when longtime anchor Matt Lauer was fired following allegations of sexual misconduct. Guthrie had worked alongside him for years. They were not just co-hosts, they were close friends. When she addressed viewers on air, her heartbreak was visible. She described the agony of reconciling affection for someone she had known so well with the gravity of the accusations. She expressed sorrow for the victims while also grappling openly with confusion and disbelief. It was a moment that reflected the broader cultural reckoning happening during the Me Too movement. Her relationship with Lauer understandably changed after his departure. Over time, as more details emerged, she spoke with clearer condemnation of the behavior described. It was another example of Guthrie navigating complex emotional territory in front of millions of viewers. And as if emotional trials were not enough, a literal accident tested her strength. In 2019, while playing with her 2-year-old son, he accidentally threw a toy train that struck her in the eye. The impact tore her retina. Within a day, she temporarily lost vision in her right eye. Multiple laser procedures followed as doctors worked carefully to prevent a detachment. She missed time on air. She had to lie still for extended periods. And perhaps most tenderly, she had to be careful not to let her young son feel guilty for something he could not possibly understand. Eventually, her retina healed and her vision was restored in time for her to host NBC's coverage of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It was yet another recovery story in a life full of them. In 2023, she revealed another health challenge, a diagnosis of laryngopharyngeal reflux, LPR, often called silent reflux. The condition can mimic allergies or asthma and often goes undiagnosed. Doctors advise lifestyle changes, waiting hours before lying down after eating, elevating her head at night, avoiding acidic foods and alcohol. For someone who works daily with her voice, the diagnosis was concerning. But once again, she approached it with a mix of humor and practicality, acknowledging that giving up favorite foods might be harder than it sounds. Professionally, Guthrie has become one of the enduring faces of NBC's today. In an industry known for constant turnover, she has remained at the top of broadcast journalism. When longtime co-host Hoda Kotb announced in 2024 that she would be leaving NBC after nearly 2 decades, Guthrie expressed both admiration and sadness. She described Kotb as a sister. While happy for her friend's bold next chapter, she admitted she would have preferred to stay side by side forever. It was a bittersweet farewell that underscored how deeply personal on-air partnerships can become. Through it all, grief, divorce, miscarriage, scandal, injury, illness, Savannah Guthrie's life tells a story not of uninterrupted success, but of endurance. She has never claimed perfection. Instead, she speaks openly about doubt, sorrow, joy, faith, and growth coexisting. If there is a defining thread in her journey, it is this: every defining loss became a shaping force. Every setback revealed a deeper layer of empathy. Every disappointment carved out space for perspective. For millions who watch her each morning, she appears steady and composed. But beneath that calm exterior lies a woman who has walked through heartbreak, wrestled with uncertainty, and chosen, repeatedly, to move forward with grace.